Welcome back to another episode of the Bolton RTG Career Mode here on FC24, where last episode we went ahead and won the championship and we got promoted up to the Premier League. And here we are now in for this the summer transfer window here to try and boost this squad. We say goodbye to Broha, we say goodbye to Charlie Patino. It's time to rebuild this team properly, and to do so, we have to have a big budget, and we have 74 million to spend to be able to bring in a budget. Do we bring back Broha? Do we spend half of our budget bringing back in Broha, or do we look somewhere else? Do we look to improve this bench? Because holy cow, this bench is dreadful at sometimes. We have Lucas back from loan. I went ahead and recalled him. He was going to come back in January. We recall him now. He will be a focal point in this team, at least for a backup option. We have Blake, who could be a backup option as well, but he has been loan listed. We definitely need a new midfielder for sure to replace Tomlinson. We need a new striker. Drew can be a backup striker. That's fine. Hutchinson might be getting headhunted. Avias was getting headhunted last season. Eric Kunda might be getting headhunted as well. And we might be just looking for a new player to replace Reggie Cannon anyway. So there are some transfers to think about. There are some players to think about. We went ahead and sent out our 3 youth scouts as well. If we can go ahead and quickly find that. We sent them out to Belgium, Moldova for 3 months, and England for 9 months. And I went ahead and gave myself a special scout report to kick the season off here, to try and find the best of the best players here, the best of the best youngsters kicking things off here in England. William Reed, a 2.3 million valued goalkeeper. We'll happily bring him in. Whether or not he'll play or not will be determined down the line, but that's the only player we get from England. Over to Moldova for the first time, and it's going to look like it might be a slow 3 months there. Obviously, we still got 3 months now because this doesn't affect it, but that might be the worst one yet. And then over to Belgium. And we might get some decent talents there. The overalls on these last 2 guys isn't the highest. 875k for Alex Mitchell. We'll go ahead and bring him in. Oh, and his potential is awful. Wow, his potential is definitely awful. So a couple new guys to bring into the Youth Academy. Let's go look at them. We obviously have the goalkeeper, 68 rated. He might be a bring in and loan out instantly. Whitaker is a 60 overall right mid. I don't think he has a future with us. And then we have Alex Mickle, a right winger. Is he a right winger? The answer is probably yes, in all honesty. Probably is a right winger, maybe even a cam. There's a half decent chance he's a cam because his crossing is terrible. But we'll keep him a right winger. We'll keep his attack position going up a little bit more. But let's go look at some of our transfer business now. We're just going to simulate through until we think of something. Now on the short list here, we have a couple of options. We have Pellegrino, who's here from last season. That was one of my options to bring in instead of Fontanarasa, but we went ahead with Fontanarasa. We have Yaden Bogle, who's a Sheffield United player, just recently relegated. A lot of these players are from the teams that either just got recently relegated or actually failed to get into the promoted spot. So like Leicester City and Sunderland, they obviously failed because they were 2 of the best teams in the league last season. They just couldn't get promoted. They couldn't get the job done, including Declan, including Vinny Sousa. We obviously have Joe Bellingham. He's always an option. Yunus Musa, he might be priority number 1 for the season at the moment. Jack Clark, Sunderland, he did good against us that final game against them towards the end of the season. Of course, we have Armando Broja, the Chelsea striker that spent 2 years here at the club. Last season, he was the most important player alongside our goalkeeper, Almadar. We could be able to bring him in, but he's going to cost close up to 40 million. That's more than half of our budget. Haji Wright is also a striking option as well, and he's only going to cost 5 million. In his pace, 89 sprint speed, acceleration is 77, but 76 finishing. He's a decent striker. We also have a couple more striking options here. We have Umduni, who's currently being traded down by Udinese, and then we have Kevin Denke, a 25 overall Togo striker there that has 85 finishing, 81 sprint speed, and 80 acceleration. We'll flip those two. 89 strength though, and 84 jumping. The 5'11 striker might be one to look at for sure. Now, I went free agent shopping here as well, and we have some couple of decent options here now. Since we're in the Premier League, and as long as we are in the top division, I'm going to limit myself to 3 free agent signings per season. So we can only sign 3 free agents. So we have a couple options here, including Billy Gilmore, the Scottish center defensive mid that is being tracked down by Athletic Club at the moment. If we want him, we have to act fast on him, but 25, 79 years old. We also have Ario Buta, who is a right mid that could be a decent super sub. However, we do have Norton, that is a youth academy player that I'm more than likely wanting to recall and have him out on the bench to replace Hutchinson. As well in the midfield, we have Carlos Allende, the Spanish 28-year-old center mid that looks half decent. I don't know if he's Premier League around though. We have Elliot Anderson, who is currently being traced down by Manchester United. He is a baller though, 23 years old, 80 overall. He might be priority number 1. He might be one of the 3 that we bring in. And we also have Kai Jorge, who is a 78 overall striker at the moment, 80. And then, what's his finishing? 76 finishing. He's being tracked down by Frankfurt. I think we bring in Elliot Anderson, and I think we bring in either Lopez or Schnegg just as a backup left back, in all honesty. We don't really have a backup left back for Sessegnon, so one of these 2 could be a backup left back, and I think we go Lopez just because he's younger. So I think Elliot Anderson and Lopez is at least 2 of the 3 for now. We can save one for a later date. Let's go ahead and bring in Elliot Anderson now. Now, he obviously wants to be crucial here. That's obviously going to be acceptable. Him and Bacunia right now are going to lead that midfield. Lucas to support them in behind. We are going to go ahead and disregard the release clause. He wants a release clause of $45.4 million. We will go ahead and just accept that. Recommended wages of $69,000. We're going to try and get him for pretty much $10K cheaper here. $60K, a signing bonus of $390. If we can get that down to $350, we'll accept it. We might even accept it anyway. Nope. Okay, so they do accept it. $60K. Signing number 1, Elliot Anderson walks in the front doors. He will be the midfield player alongside Bacunia to hopefully lead this team up into a safety from getting relegated from the Premier League. And this will open up the avenue of still being able to bring in Brohart as well. We don't have to spend money on a center mid now. We could have him. We could possibly even loan somebody else in as well. But Armando Broja is still objective number 1. The big signing for the season is Armando Broja. Whether or not we can complete it or not, it'll be down the line, to be honest. And we go ahead and let go of Facundo Murder, $4.25 million. He has been sold. We say goodbye to him. That does open the door to bring in Bogle now, for sure. We also loan out Ethan and Worry, but this might not be permanent. This might just be the dumbest thing I've done because I'm selling Caden Clark if he goes through. If Caden Clark's transfer breaks down, then Caden Clark will be our backup cam. But if not, Ethan and Worry, I'm just going to recall him instantly back. And we go ahead and bring in the left back now as well, Marquez Lopez. He'll come in for a free. We say goodbye to Caden Clark. So we have sold Caden Clark. So Ethan and Worry straight back to the club. And we go ahead and loan out Archie Goodman for another season. We'll see how well he can go at Aruca. We also say goodbye to Ahmed Ndiaye. He has been sold to Sheffield United for $2.6 million. That'll open the doors for a left wing to possibly come in. If we can find somebody half decent, maybe a youngster. And Ogbon has been sold to BSC Young Boys for $2.65 million. Norton now will be recalled. We had to swap gears from Armando Broja. His value actually shot up, and he was going to cost close to $70 to $75 million. So we switched gears, but not too far out. We go shopping to a not really Premier League proven player, but a Premier League Academy proven player, Florian Balogun, the American striker who has blown up in France when he was on loan. Obviously, in France football, he had a great season there. He had a great youth career at Arsenal in the youth system. And here he is now back in the Premier League with Bolton. He cost us $40 million. So it still was a pretty big chunk of our budget down the drain now for a striker. But Florian Balogun will join the squad here. And honestly, he might turn out to be a better option than Armando Broja. And we go ahead and bring in a new right back as well. I said I was going to bring in Bogle, and we get the job done for $14.4 million. He is on a crucial squad deal. He is technically better than Reggie Cannon. However, it's going to be a battle if we don't sell Reggie Cannon. It's going to be a battle to see who starts for us between Bogle and Cannon, because Cannon wasn't terrible. I just don't think he has it in him for Premier League. Bogle is Premier League proven. Obviously, just got relegated with Sheffield United, so there's a little handicap on that. But welcome to the club, Yaden Bogle, for $14.4 million. We get a transfer offer here for Omari Hutchinson from Leeds United. Now, while I don't really necessarily want to lose him, if we can get the right price for him, then I feel like we kind of have to sell him. So we'll see what we can get. The board say we can get close to 30. We are going to try 40 flat. We're going to try and get well over his whatever his low range market value is, and it's looking unlikely. We're going to go up to, I think the lowest I go is 35 million, honestly. So if they don't want this, and they do, we can offer 35 million to make that happen. I knew I should have went up even more and then gone down to 35 and settled on 35. But Omari Hutchinson might be leaving the club now for 35 million. And it's done. Omari Hutchinson sold to Leeds United for 35 million. Unfortunate. How does that? I didn't want to lose him, but we did lose him. Now we got to replace him. Norton's not going to be able to replace him instantly. We got to find somebody better than Norton, obviously. But we do have money. We have 50 million now, so we can do so. And who better to replace him than the man that has been decent for Portugal this Euros competition? Francisco Cancelo has been coming off the bench quite a lot for Portugal, but when he comes off, he makes a decent name for himself. We had to spend pretty much all of that budget that we just had onto this guy, Francisco Cancelo. However, he should be decent on the ball. He should be decent and quick on the right-hand side. £47 million transfer for him, though. Welcome to the club, and I think that might be all the transfers we make in this episode. And so here is the team at the moment going towards the first game of the season. We have Eric Kunda, who survives the roulette at the moment. Nobody's coming in for him, so he will stay at the club at the moment. Balogun as our new striker. Francisco Cancelo as our new right winger. Bergville will stay at cam. Anderson and Bacuna leading our midfield. Cannon and Bogle as a right back option. Avias, his headhunting seems to end. Nobody wants him anymore. Trusty as our other center back. Session remains as our left back. On the bench is full of youth. We have Drew as our backup striker. We have Blake as our backup left winger. We have Norton as our backup right winger. Ethan and Wari obviously back at the club after that very short loan spell. Lucas after that year-and-a-half loan spell from Leicester City. He's now back at the club. Lopez as a backup left back. Bogle as a backup / contending starting right back. Fontanarasa is on the bench. He should technically be at one of these positions, but we'll see what happens with that down the line. Our first game of the season, actually haven't checked who our first game of the season is. This is all preseason stuff. Our first game of the season is Wolves. Our first Big Six game of the season is Chelsea at the end of the month. So we'll probably play against Wolves to wrap up the episode. And as soon as I say we don't get headhunted from Avias, he gets headhunted, this time from Bournemouth. However, Bournemouth are in the championship, and I wouldn't see Avias going to a championship club after just getting promoted from the championship club. So we are actually going to go ahead and reject this. So he will not be going to Bournemouth. If we get a transfer for somebody like a big team, I know Benfica wanted him last season, but I was unwilling to sell then. I'm still somewhat unwilling to sell, but I will sell if it makes sense. It's kind of what I did with Hutchinson there. If we can sell if it makes sense, then we will. We had the first proper scout report of the season here, starting things off in England, and we are going to look to start things off kind of poorly here. So it's looking very unlikely that, and in fact, we won't bring in anybody from England. Next up, over to the Moldovas. We are looking for the next Moldovan talent. I can't remember the last Moldovan talent at the moment, if there even ever was one, and there still won't be one. And then over towards Belgium. Yeah, Belgium. We are again looking at nothing once more. Wow, this is just not good at all. First Premier League game of the series and of the season here. This is Wolves starting 11. They have Traore as a left winger, Gabriel Jesus as a striker, Del Castillo as a right wing, a midfield duo of Haj and Bellegarde in the midfield. Obviously, Bellegarde was at Bolton at one point. He's now back at his parent club at he's back at Wolves now. Nori, Kilman, Castello Jr., Mosquera, Nelson Semedo in the back five, molded in net. I'm wondering if they're playing a rotated team here. They are Boker, Yankoto, Bueno, Amabari, Margiai. I think Gabriel Jesus is better than Margai. Vargas, I don't know how good he is as a youth player. So they're definitely playing a rotated team here, unfortunately. But we are not. We are playing our full-strength team in our first Premier League game of the season. Almadar as our goalie. We have Cannon on the right-hand side. We have Avias and Trusty as our center back. We have Setson Young as our left back. Anderson. First look at him. Bacuna and Bergval remain in that midfield. Francisco Cancello and Balogun, how well they link up alongside Irakunda as our left winger. Let's get into it. Premier League action is underway.
Oh, Stuart, they must score. And a goal. They start as they mean to continue. They make the opening statement. That's useful play. This could level it. And it is the equaliser. Parity now. And who's to say what's going to happen next?
I've been muted this whole game. Have I been muted this whole game? I sure as hell hope I haven't been muted this whole game. But wow, it's 1-1 at the moment if we are muted. If we are muted, I'll show the goals. Hopefully those weren't muted. The cross in, Balogun! Can't connect to it. I've been talking for so long for no reason. I mean, thankfully, hopefully I wasn't muted for the goals. But I have a feeling I was because I know I didn't press this button for a long time. Cancello's time is done here. We're going to go ahead and take him off. We're also going to take off Irakunda for Blake. And we're going to take off Luke, or bring on Lucas for Bacuna. Now, Lucas can only play center defensive mid, though. He's -7 at center mid. We're going to go ahead and play him, though. Because I believe the stats are still the same. It's just like a -7 from there. Free kick for Wolves in a relatively dangerous situation here. And it's a hell of a dangerous situation. Wolves have the lead again off of a free kick. And with 20 minutes left to go, Bolton are staring down the barrel of their first loss in the Premier League, in their first game of the Premier League. We expected this to be tough. We expected it to be hard. And honestly, we didn't expect us to be in this game as well as we are right now with Wolves. We're definitely going to get absolutely battered by Chelsea, though. I know that if we were to play Chelsea, we won't play Chelsea in today's episode, but we definitely would get battered by them.
What's going to happen next? More live Premier League action coming up for you soon on
Bellegarde down the right-hand side. Bellegarde, Del Castillo, the goal scorer, the game winner at the moment. Gabriel Jesus to try and add a second to his tally. And the challenge from Avias is going to result into a penalty. And it might be a chance for Wolves to really put this game to bed now. I don't think that's a pen. I just don't think that's a penalty. But hey-ho, the game gave it. So we must now try and save it with Almadar. Almadar goes left. Gabriel goes right. It's 3-1 for Wolves. Staring down that barrel of our first loss of the season. Blake winning the ball back. Balogun trying to just get a consolation goal to end the game to give us a little bit of a confidence boost. Nothing will happen. We will lose the first game of this season. We expect it to be tough, and it is tough. A 3-1 loss against Wolves. We got taken on the chin and just keep on going, trying to improve, trying to see if we can survive the Premier League. That is the objective. But Gabriel Jesus embraced the opener and the closer with the penalty there. But it was a free kick that essentially ended it all there. a 3-1 loss in our first game of the season, and that's actually going to wrap up this episode as well. I know it might not be much action in the game, but we did quite a few transfer action. Arsenal lost their first game of the season, so after only losing 2 games last season for Arsenal, they've already got half the losses in the first game. So it'll be interesting to see them. Obviously, I expect them to recover. Who did they even play, actually? Who did Arsenal play to lose their first game? They lost to Man United, so they lost to at least a decent team there. It is Man United. When we come back, we have Fulham. We also have Chelsea. We'll have the rest of the transfer window. We'll have Brentford in the Cowbell Cup. I want to make a run in the Cowbell Cup, so we have Brentford there. Or Brentford in the Premier League? They are, right? They are in the Premier League, so it's a Premier League game against Brentford in the Cowbell Cup. Other than that, September could be where we get some points. We have Luton, who just got promoted with us. We have Leeds United, who aren't really the best Premier League team. And we have Crystal Palace, who on their day could be great, but on their day could be beatable. So definitely up for grabs there. Balogun needs a better game as well. Francisco Cancello looked great. Honestly, I can't really judge the right back position until we win a game, to be honest, because both of them were kind of non-existent. Cannon was more vocal, but that's because we have Francisco on for longer, so it was kind of for that reason. So right now, the edge technically goes to Cannon, so we'll see what happens with that. We'll start Bogle next game if I remember. I probably won't remember when I record this next. But until then, leave a like, subscribe, and peace out.